On today's show, we have the season 3 finale of the ADG podcast. We have Tony Ortiz from WJR and 97.1 The Ticket, and Rachel Maeng from the Legacy brand.
The only thing that's different is Mark Lawrence's face is fatter. Hold up, Mike. I gotta catch my breath, Mike. I do like chicken sandwiches. Well, who else would you have on the cover of Playboy these days, right? See if you can polish this term. I'm trying to be positive here, Jake. Jake is also available for anniversaries and birthday parties.
I thought you were gonna tell me treat him like cats and sprayed him with a water bottle.
No.
Not enough money behind this podcast to get him on here. Because it's not the kids' fault they're shitheads. It's not. It's the parents' fault. The parents are shitheads too. Why are you talking shit? Have you won anything? No, then shut the fuck up. Wait, nobody ever said there was a plot to Rambo. Delete your account, go back to bed, cry for a couple of days, and reflect on what you're actually going to do with your life.
Welcome, everyone. We have made it to the season 3 finale of the ADG podcast. It's been a fantastic season, great interviews with great guests, and we have 2 amazing interviews coming up on this week's show.
2 for 1 special, people. 2 for 1 special.
2 for 1 special. I'm Darren. That is Mr. Jacob over there. And
Here
Jake, how
there.
have you been, sir?
Extremely warm, but I'll talk about that later.
It's been kind of warm, a little bit hot, a little bit muggy.
Disgusting.
Yeah, a little bit disgusting. I don't know about you, but the mosquitoes this past couple weeks have been hell.
See, that's just you. I've had none.
Oh, well, lucky you, right there. It's been brutal mosquito wise, but we have made it to the end of the season 3. It's been a great season. So let's get into it, shall we? And let's begin with sports.
All right.
So, Jacob, baseball seems to be on the path back to reality. Spring/summer training camp are underway in Major League Baseball parks across North America, including the Tigers and Blue Jays here locally for us. Tigers have been looking good. Obviously you look good when you play against yourself.
Yes.
So we'll see that they announce the schedule. So they start their season, I believe, July 24th in Cincinnati. So they'll be in Cincinnati to kick off the 60-game sprint of a season. And I'm kind of excited to see this. That baseball will be back and will be a little bit more entertaining right off the bat than waiting.
Oh, hey, Darren, you're gonna have sports, man. You're gonna have sports.
I
don't
know.
care if it's half a season, quarter of the season, eighth of a season. There's gonna be people playing a sport.
There's gonna be professionals making a lot of money playing sports.
Kids games,
hitting a ball,
yes.
catching a bat, hitting a ball, swinging a bat, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not the only sports that's on the rising. The MLS, Major League Soccer, is kicking off its tournament tonight in Orlando. All the teams are there in their little Orlando hub, so they will be playing. All the teams that accepted to play in this tournament is going to be playing in Orlando. Orlando City is a team that's kicking off right now. I'm not too sure on who they're playing. I don't follow the MLS except for
nobody does. Don't worry about it.
Except for all the great European stars that are too old to play competitively over in Europe. They come over to MLS and
exactly.
So there you go.
Darren, yes, I want to play in the biggest pandemic state in the country. Hey, let's go to Florida and play some games.
Let's go to Florida. Exactly.
No.
So there you go. So that's kicking off. At least it's something for people to watch that's currently happening live, instead of hot dog eating contests or whatever.
What do you mean? That was fun.
Speaking of which, shout out to Joey Chestnut breaking his own world record, winning his 13th consecutive hot dog eating championship by pounding down 75 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Jeez.
That's disgusting.
Jake, how many hot dogs could you eat in 10 minutes?
In 10 minutes, I could probably have 10.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not a big hot dog guy.
Okay. Well, so there you go. So if you think you can out eat Jake in a hot dog eating contest, let us know how many hot dogs you can crush in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm done at 10. Anything past that is just gross.
1 per minute. That's all I can do. One per minute.
There we go.
There you go. So that and more good news when it comes to the sports. The NHL have passed, have made an agreement between the NHL and the NHLPA to move forward to phase 3 and phase 4 of their return to play, to their own return to play in their little COVID-esque tournament, their 2014 tournament, which will take place in the cities of Edmonton and Toronto. Yes, I'm gonna say it, that there will be a Canadian city that will award a Stanley Cup. Maybe not to a Canadian team, but they will award the Stanley Cup on Canadian soil for the first time since 1993, I believe.
There you go.
So there you go. So that's always
cool.
Excited to see that. And so if we make it this far, I'm looking at August to be a jam-packed sports-esque month. Hopefully we can rejoice. We can crack open a few beers with our friends or whatever and watch some live sports in August.
I'm going to wait till the NFL starts till I get excited.
The NFL, I know the NFL is a big thing for you and for me too. And coming up, we'll be talking with Tony Ortiz, get his thoughts on the Lions and everything else NFL related.
Exactly.
Good stuff.
Yep.
All right. And just one more thing, the Saturday is going to be the premiere episode of Fight Island for the UFC 251. Usman versus Masvidal, which should be a pretty brutal fight because Masvidal can seriously kill someone in the ring. So that's going to be interesting to see, especially them fighting in Abu Dhabi, and it's literally an island with the octagon placed on it. So
cool.
Hopefully it doesn't rain.
That sounds exciting.
It does. You know what? Visually, it sounds amazing. I've seen some photos online about this Fight Island, and it looks pretty sick. I'm not going to lie. Looks pretty sick.
I'm interested to see how, for production reasons, how that all looks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me. They're gonna make it sparkle. It's gonna look so good.
It's an island.
It's an island, but it's Fight Island. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Rule number 1 about Fight Island. Don't talk about Fight Island.
Talk about Fight. There you go.
There you go.
That's how you don't get viewers. Anyway.
All right, sir. So
right.
I think that will wrap it up with sports.
Cool. So let's get to our first interview.
Well, to join us on our season finale episode of the AG podcast, we have the legendary voice of WJR and the Detroit Lions, Mr. Tony Ortiz. Tony Ortiz, welcome to the AG podcast, sir.
Hey, what's up, guys? And thank you for having me on. And again, I apologize for missing out the last time. I said I was going to make good, and I'm here, and I'm glad to be talking to you guys.
And we appreciate it so much, Tony.
That's it. So, Tony, before we get into it, we just want to know your thoughts on this pandemic and the coronavirus and how it pretty much suffocated sports in all around the world. And as a sports reporter, a sideline reporter, how much do you think is this going to change the future of sports from your point of view when you're on the sidelines or just reporting on sports?
It's going to change everything completely. I think you're going to see less media access via actually being at the facility for the Lions in this case, or being at the stadium. You're going to see more Zoom calling. You're going to see more video conferencing, because if you're an NFL team or you're a Major League Baseball team, you want as few people as possible to be around the players, to be around the coaches with the possibility of spreading the coronavirus. So I think you're going to see more online stuff, more video conferencing, and actually less physical talk with reporters, less players and reporters standing face-to-face, one-on-one. I just don't think you're going to see a lot of that. You'll see some of it, but not a lot of it this year.
Right. Well, it depends on is this better for the athletes so they don't have to be smothered by reporters after a game or before a game?
Yeah,
less scrums to
exactly.
be involved in.
And Darren, you're right. I think the athletes are going to enjoy that a little bit more, just simply because they can get out of the locker room faster. They can get away from practice faster because they don't have to deal with a bunch of reporters, or they could sit at home and talk to the reporters and be as comfortable as possible. So I think the athletes are going to love it. But I think the other thing, too, is I think teams are going to like it because it will limit access of reporters to the players and to the coaches. And I think they're going to enjoy that. The NFL is really secretive about a lot of things. So I think that the NFL is going to probably really enjoy the fact that you won't have as many one-on-one meetings with players and reporters around during the season.
Exactly. Going back to, because you were a graduate of Specs Howard, and from when you started to now, what have some of the most drastic things that you have seen in the broadcasting sports business?
The biggest change has been internet. I think we're getting the information faster, so you have to be quicker. You have to be on top of it. More in the past, you could get the information from television and radio, and look, it took a couple of hours. But now with internet, it's instantaneous. And I think that's the biggest change, is that everything now is instantaneous as far as that goes. The other part of it, too, guys, that I think has really changed is the fact that players don't necessarily now have to use the media. Same thing with teams. They don't have to necessarily use the media to get the message out to the players and to the fans. They can do it themselves now via Twitter, via Facebook, however they want to do it. So in a sense, they've kind of cut out the middleman, and that's the biggest difference I've seen since I've gotten into this business, oh my God, long time ago.
And now to double back on that, because I'm used to listening to you on 97.1 in the mornings and on the Jamie and Stoney show, and you do your updates and all that. So your voice is super, super always in my head every morning. And it's great because I know I get Tony Ortiz, who knows his stuff.
Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that.
No problem. Now, with following up on that, you're in the radio, in the studios all the time. How has the pandemic changed the entire radio industry, especially Detroit?
I think the biggest change for me personally is not actually being in the studio. The last time I was in the studio, guys, was March 20th. Ever since then, I've been doing stuff from home. And that's important because if you don't know that I'm not in the studio and you think that I am in the studio, then I'm doing my job correctly, because it shouldn't sound like there's any disruption. The biggest thing that's changed is there aren't as many people in stations now as there used to be before the pandemic. Where I work at WWJ and 97.1 The Ticket, there may be at most 10 or 15 people in the building at one time. That's it. In the past, before the pandemic, you'd see as many as 20, 30 people. Guests would come through. You'd have athletes sometimes. You'd have promoters come through sometimes. You'd have musical acts come through sometimes. You don't get that anymore. So the pandemic has really shut down a lot of access, and I think it's given businesses a chance to see if they can run a place on a skeleton staff, which is kind of a concern when you're in radio, because if a corporation feels like they can get away with running it with a skeleton staff, they might decide to do that once the pandemic lifts.
That's a good point.
There you go. No, it's true. I here in Windsor, we have a lot of different production companies and a lot of young up and coming play-by-play announcers, sideline reporters. What would piece of advice would you give to those young aspiring Tony Ortizes out there that want to be a sideline reporter, play-by-play, color commentators?
You know what? First thing I would say is do everything possible. If the station you're working for wants you to deliver mail, do it. If they want you to run a board, do it. If they want you to produce a show, do it. I didn't start off on the air, guys. When I got into the business in '87, I was an assistant producer. I ended up producing football games, both Michigan State and the Lions. I was a board op. I really didn't get on the air full time until around 1993. So that was 6 years of doing a little bit of everything. I was in engineering at one point. But the good thing about that, I got to learn the business inside out. I got to see what it was like to be an engineer. I got to see what it was like to be a board op. I got to see what it was like to be a producer. So if there's one piece of advice I would give anybody out there, do everything you can possibly do. If it's a sport you don't feel comfortable covering, learn that sport, go out and cover it. The more you can do, the more valuable you are to an employer.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Yeah.
Yep, it is. It is. Now, piggybacking off of the point you just made, if you're not comfortable calling a sport, learn everything about it. Now, you're a sideline reporter for the Lions. Now, for a while. Now, what are some of the interesting moments being on the field that you've encountered that not really seen on camera that you just for you there to enjoy because you're right there?
Getting to know the players has been the best part about doing that job. And the 15 years I did it was absolutely great. I loved getting to know players like Calvin Johnson, like Matthew Stafford. And my favorite were guys who weren't the star players, the Don Muehlbachs of the world, guys like that, the Jason Hansons, guys like that who were popular, but, you know, people didn't know a lot about them at the time, and you got a chance to know them and got inside. Favorite times, favorite games. There was a snowstorm a few years ago in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. I'd never done a game in a snowstorm before, and I was doing television with another name that you guys know, Matt Shepard. We were on television together.
Yep.
Matt has gray hair, and I have, I guess, some hair. And at the time, I had a little more hair than I do now, and the snow started falling, and Matt and I were looking at each other, and we were kind of like, oh, it's going to be snowing. By the time we got to wrap up the television, my hair was grayer and whiter than Matt Shepard's hair. That's how much falling the entire time. And stupidly, I didn't wear boots. I wore sneakers at the time. So by the time the second quarter rolled around, my feet were just completely soaked. So that's one of my favorite games. The two playoff games that I covered for the Lions, 2011, 2014, were terrific. I had a blast both those times, being in New Orleans and being in Dallas. Getting to go to London for the game against the Atlanta Falcons a few years ago was a treat. I had been to London once before, but doing it for the job, getting to meet people in London, getting to talk to fans who were at Wembley Stadium, that was awesome. And that's just some of the things I will remember from this job.
No, absolutely. And I must say, you know, when it comes to covering the sidelines, you've done it better than most that I've seen or heard. So congrats to all your success out there.
Thank you.
You mentioned you've been at all these great games, obviously not with so much great outcome for the Lions. Is it difficult?
And we're fans.
Yeah, as fans, as you know, we're diehard. Some are more, you know, realist than others. What kind of mentality do you have to go in there? Because there's a big difference between interviewing a player after a win than a loss. You know, it's just the way that you ask certain questions or the tone of your voice when you ask questions. Is there like a trick to interviewing a player that just lost on national television?
You got to get to know the player a little bit first before you go in there barging in with questions. And you kind of get the idea that after a loss, especially if it was a close loss, they really don't want to answer questions. Nobody wants to have a microphone in their face after a tough loss. But if you get to know the player a little bit, they understand you're not there to throw them under the bus. They understand you're not there to make them look bad. So that's the first thing. Yes, you do modulate the tone of your voice. You're not quite as bubbly. You kind of become a golf announcer at one point. You kind of lower your voice a little bit. You say, you know, tough loss. No, you kind of do that. The other thing is, I covered the Lions in 2008 when they went 0-16.
Right.
You have to take personal feelings out of it. You cannot – I'm trying to think the best way to put this. You can't get so low about the losses that you go in there with a bad attitude. Your attitude has to be the same. You're a professional. You're there to do the job. You can't let your personal feelings interfere with what you're trying to do on the air. Was it a tough season at 0-16? Absolutely. But there were guys there like Dominic Raiola and Sean Cody who saved my neck a number of times because they were more than willing to talk to me because they knew I wasn't going to throw them under the bus and I wasn't going to sit there and basically run them into the ground because they were 0-16. So that really helped. But after 0-16, things looked up. Let me put it that way. You can do anything if you survive 0-16.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of this team going forward, obviously, they have a new, not new. They transitioned ownership from the matriarch of the family over to the daughter, Sheila Ford Hamp. Do you see any significant change with that move, or is it just it's going to be same old for the Lions when it comes to ownership?
I think initially it's going to be same old, but Sheila Ford Hamp has already put her stamp on some things that have happened with the Lions organization. So I expect them initially it'll feel the same as when Martha Ford owned the team, but I think slowly but surely you're going to see Sheila Ford Hamp and her husband and some of the other people that they will bring in the organization start to make changes for the Lions. From what I've been told, it was Sheila Ford Hamp who was responsible for bringing in Matt Patricia and ultimately Bob Quinn to run the
Mm-hmm.
organization. So I think that's a pretty good sign that they aren't going to do business. They aren't going to do things as normal once they really get their feet wet as owners.
Now,
Well,
piggybacking off of that really quickly. Now,
Yeah.
season, if we have a season, we still
Mhm.
don't know. Everything's up in the air. We know baseball's back, but football is going to be probably last on the ticket here.
Mhm.
What do you think? What do you think, Tony? Football is the NFL going to be back on schedule or a little bit later than scheduled?
Gut feeling, they'll be back on schedule. I don't know if they'll completely finish the season. I don't know if the season's going to be 16 games, but I think the NFL will start the season on time. When September 10th rolls around, there will be an NFL game on television. That would, of course, be the Thursday night game with the Kansas City Chiefs. The one thing that concerns me is when we get later in the year, in October and November, when flu season begins, when the weather starts to turn, if the coronavirus makes a return, and it's really never gone anywhere, but if it makes a return in the fall, I think we could see games getting postponed or even canceled. And if you look at the NFL schedule, guys, you'll see that they kind of constructed in a way where the good games are at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. And the games in the middle are games that if they had to cancel them, it wouldn't affect the races too much. But if they had to postpone them, it also would make it a smoother transition if they have to do that. So my gut feeling is, yes, we get the NFL starting off the season with few or no fans in the stands, but I think you start looking at October and November as a possibility of games getting postponed or even canceled.
Cool.
Jake brought up baseball getting started, and you covered the MLB as a reporter for a bit. Your thoughts on the Tigers and their 60-game sprint of a schedule?
I'll tell you what, if you're a team like the Tigers and you're building and you can put it together for 60 games, you can make some noise in the Central Division. I still think they'll be an under 500 team this year, guys, but I think the Tigers, with some of the young players they have, with the Casey Mize, if Riley Green makes the 30-man opening day roster that'll head to Cincinnati on July 24th, if they get some good starting pitching from Matthew Boyd, from Jordan Zimmerman, who's been banged up and really hurt the last couple of years, if Michael Fulmer comes back and pitches well, they may not be a factor completely in the Central Division race, but the Tigers could be a 500 team for 60 games. It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
No, absolutely not. And they always said that when the Tigers would start their normal baseball season in April, because it's still cold in Detroit, they need to warm up. So now that it's hot weather, they should be good to go. They should be knocking homers out of the park, left, right, and center.
I'm not going to quite go that far, but you know what? Their offense will be a little bit better this year, but keep in mind, you're talking about knocking homers out the park. Comerica Park is not a hitter's park.
No, it's definitely not.
That's going to keep the offense down a little bit for the Tigers.
That's it. All right. So Tony, now that are you still broadcasting from home, or have you ventured into the studio during this pandemic?
Still broadcasting from home. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks or so, I get to go back into the studios. I know if I do go back, I'm going to have to wear a face mask all the time, except when I'm on, when I actually am on the air. But hopefully in a couple of weeks, I get to leave home and go back to the station, which it's going to be really odd because I've gotten used to working from home.
Oh, exactly. The other big story that's coming out, and if we don't know, because right now the Ivy League has canceled their sports schedule all the way for the rest of this year. Do you see college football? Will there be college football this year?
See, that's the one I'm not completely sure will start on time. I mean, just today alone, North Carolina and Ohio State suspended their voluntary workouts because of an outbreak of COVID-19 at both of those schools among their student athletes. I think college football is the one where you really have to look and think they may not start on time. They may have to wait until October or November to start. And even then, I don't think you're going to get many non-conference games. I think any conferences that start, they're going to be just conference-only games. The Big Ten's only going to play within its own conference. The Big 12, the SEC, they're just going to play within their own conferences. And I just don't see them playing non-conference games this year. And there's a good chance, guys, that bowl games might get pushed to the spring.
Wow. There you go. That's something to think about right there when it comes to all this, because you never know, because you look at certain states and their cases, the skyrocket is over the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
So you really can't put a pin on point your finger at a certain spot. Well, let's fix this, and maybe that will fix everything. because it's up and down. This whole coronavirus. Absolutely. So Tony, I have a question. So when there is a lack of sports to talk about, how far do you have to dig deep when it comes to stats or interesting facts to keep the listener tuning engaged? Yeah.
Let me put it this way. Some of the news sites that I have bookmarked in the last couple of months include Variety.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Awful Announcing.
All right.
Wow.
And every once in a while, I'll go looking around some of, I don't want to say weird sites, but sites that you normally, like Entertainment Weekly, sites that you normally don't go to for sports, and yet there's something sports related, whether it's LeBron James starting up a production company, whether it's WWE figures now starting to test positive for the coronavirus. You have to find your news anywhere you can get it. So I don't care where I get it from. If I can prove it and it's news and it's newsworthy, it'll be on the air. So Variety, I'm cool with that. I like it. Plus, I can check on movie figures. So there you go.
There you go. That's all it turns out to be. Exactly. All right. So, Tony, thank you again for joining us on the ADG podcast. Tell everyone where they can find you, where they can listen to your beautiful voice, and all that.
And which socials they can follow you on.
You know what? I need to record Darren saying my beautiful.
I'll send you the link.
My family
doesn't. It's so smooth.
My family doesn't even say it's a beautiful voice. But thank you, Darren.
Exactly. You're welcome, sir.
I do morning sports. I'm the morning sports anchor for WWJ and 97.1 The Ticket. And I am on Twitter at AJOrtiz3. And that's where you can find me. I usually hang out on Twitter in the mornings in between updates. So if you want to get in touch with me that way, help yourself. I will try to.
There we go. Just because this was brought up, I saw it online that the end of WDFN, the fan 11:30 on the AM dial is coming to an end. Just do you have any thoughts on that station? I know that they've been around a long time, launched a lot of careers of local personalities, voices that we've heard over the years. Just your thoughts on that.
You know what? If it wasn't for DFN, I wouldn't have a job at this point because DFN were the innovators here in Detroit. They were the first all-sports station. And listen, I was a fan. I was a fan of guys like Matt Derry, of Sean Belizean, of Stoney and Mojo, Rob Parker. I loved listening to those guys. Jamie Samuelson, I loved listening to those guys. So to me, losing WDFN, that's like losing an icon. And they were great people. I got to know a lot of those people. I have nothing but respect for DFN, and it's a shame that they are no longer an all-sports station. Believe me, I used to listen to them constantly. On the way to work, on the way home from work, DFN was the number one button on my radio whenever I was driving around.
Exactly. Exactly. That's true. All right. So there you go. You heard it from the man himself, Tony Ortiz. Thank you very much for joining us on our podcast, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Guys, anytime, let me know, and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. I promised last week to Darren because he's a giant hockey snob, and it's annoying.
You say snob like it's a bad thing.
Sure. That I will give him my top 5 of my favorite hockey players of all time.
Oh, yes.
Because, I don't know hockey or something. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean I've never liked it. There's the first thing, Darren.
Okay. This is like a bear saying his top 5 favorite books.
Hey, bears read. Don't discriminate.
Go ahead.
All right. So top 5. I have a little story for some of these. And as soon as Darren comes out of his shock here on the ADG podcast, he'll give us some of his feedback and some of the shock and awe. Okay, number 5.
Okay.
Obviously, you have to put the best player in history of hockey on this list, and in my list, he's on number 5. Wayne Gretzky is
number 5.
For 5, yes. Wow. Why? Because I didn't watch too much of Wayne Gretzky. I didn't get to watch too much of it. It's because of the games I did watch, never included Edmonton or LA. Okay. So,
all right.
But I did follow as much as I could.
He did play for St. Louis and the New York Rangers.
Okay, nobody cared. So,
okay, number 5. Still, this is like the worst top 5 list ever.
You would think, but after I get to number 2 and number 1, you're going to be very, very happy about it.
Okay.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Number 4, Mario Lemieux.
Okay, all right.
No, I still have my Mario Lemieux hockey stick to this day that I bought when I was in grade, I want to say A9
All
or
right.
8. Yeah, I still have my Mario Lemieux stick.
Okay.
And it was a fun player to watch and one of the best of all time, arguably. So, big fan of him. Stop the hockey stick. There you go. Number 3,
Okay.
Eric Lindros.
The biggie.
Yeah, right. And you know what? For someone with that talented,
Mm-hmm.
very underrated. Very underrated as a player. But he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Very fun to watch when he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched quite a few Eric Lindros games. So that was always fun. Have his trading cards too. There used to be a big trading card geek.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of them. So
Same here.
hockey cards are like half. Hockey cards were like half of what I actually owned. So there was tons. All right. Are you ready to be shocked here, sir?
I'm ready. I'm sitting down, so.
Okay. Number 2, Felix Potvin.
Ooh. You know what? I don't hate that because growing up, I was a huge Felix the Cat fan.
Yes. Yeah.
He had the best mask in the entire NHL. Just sick all around.
Speaking of the cat, number 1, Curtis Joseph.
Ooh, he goes back-to-back goalies, huh?
Yes.
You know what? Because those are two great Toronto Maple Leaf players.
Maple Leafs, that's right. Because
You know
that's the
what?
team I watched the most as a kid.
There you go. I don't hate that. I think that's a great list. You know,
Yep.
a couple tweaks here and there, but
No tweaks.
but no, that's pretty good. Look, that's a pretty good list. I give you kudos for that, there, Jake.
Yeah. Now the last 2 are goalies because when I played floor hockey, I played goalie. Do you know how hard it is to play butterfly as a goalie in floor hockey?
Oh, I know. You get a lot. You get a lot of floor burns doing
Yeah, it sucks, but it's still you imitate your favorite hockey player, and that's what happens. So there you go. There's my top 5.
Excellent. That's a great
All right.
top 5. Great way to finish off the year strong.
That's right.
There you
Some
go.
hockey there from me.
Some
Yeah.
hockey from Jake. All right, Jake. So that was top 5. How about some music?
Use that. All right, let's get some tunes up in here. All right, since our last episode for the season 3, I have a cool track for you guys for the summer. It's by a band named Sonic Fuel from Knoxville, Tennessee. It's a track titled "I Will Rise." Just came out this month. Actually, late last month in June. Now, this is the first track from their new album that's upcoming shortly. And I Will Rise is something you should definitely be hearing on the radio. It's these guys are a Knoxville, Tennessee-based rock group. Their music and lyrics are intensely emotional. A little bit of love, loss, perseverance, injustice, things like that. Very melodic compared to Shinedown or Switchfoot or Lifehouse a little bit. So that's basically their sound. So their single we're playing today on the A to G podcast is "I Will Rise." So here is "I Will Rise" by Sonic Fuel.
and forge my will so I can rise again. I'm still bleeding, down here and I'm breathing. You left me standing in the dark. No one can see the fire that's inside of me, and I know I'm gonna rise again. I will rise, I will rise, I will rise, I will rise again.
So there you go. That was Sonic Fuel with I Will Rise. Hope you guys enjoyed that on the season 3 finale. That's our last music for the season. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to add that to our playlist on Spotify. If you guys haven't checked out the Spotify playlist yet, it's on our Facebook page. Direct link to that. You should be playing that over and over and over. Again, supporting your artists that come on the show. We had some awesome artists this year. And there you go. There's Sonic Fuel. There's our music. So, Darren, let's get into our second interview today.
Yes.
So joining us on the A2G podcast today is the creator and personal brand architect at The Legacy Brand, Rachel Maeng. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Oh, we appreciate you stopping by even with all these technical difficulties we're having today. So this is going to be a great day. But we're gonna see. We're still having them. We're still having technical difficulties, but it's okay. Let's get that going now. The Legacy Brand. Before we get to why it's important to have youth and the student athlete have support in their branding, tell us more about yourself, your studies, and you being a student athlete.
Yeah, so I grew up in Syracuse, New York, a big basketball, big sports capital up there. And I ended up at Rutgers. I was a student athlete. We're Big Ten, Division I. I was a rower, or while I was on the rowing team, I'm actually the coxswain, the person that steers the boat. But I was really involved as a student athlete in our athletic conferences and all of our boards. And I also was really involved in the executive boards on our campus as well. And after college, I love sports, and I ended up staying in the industry for a few years between a few different professional teams and leagues, and eventually just ventured out on my own to build my own company.
Now, talking about your own company, what led you to become a personal brand architect?
Yeah, so it was a mix of things I learned while I was a student athlete, and then things that I also learned after college as well. I got an understanding that there was so much that undergraduate students don't know or have not really been taught as it pertains to resumes, interview skills, things like that. And I really realized that it was an area that students really need to be educated in. So I wanted to make sure that I was kind of on the forefront of helping all of these students as they go out into the world.
Now, why is it important for students and student athletes to build their brand?
Yeah, so being a student or being a student athlete, your personal brand is who you are, and it's what you put out there. And if every day is an interview, you want to put your best self out there. So a regular student, it's important for them to build up their personal brand when they're going to interviews or looking to get different jobs. But for student athletes specifically, as a student athlete myself, we're kind of under a microscope. So everything you do is watched or seen, and you really want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there, whether it be a resume or anything you put out on social media, is really clean and really represents who you are.
Now, you said really clean. I know a lot of student athletes, especially those who go to big name universities and colleges over there in States, they get in trouble for something that they post on social media, either through TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. What is your message to young student athletes that make mistakes like that when posting on social media?
Yeah, I think, social media is one of those things that it's so great if you use it right. It gives you this platform to speak to such a huge audience that you never could have before, and really tell your own story about either a situation or maybe like something that's important to you. But whenever you're posting, the best way to go about it is just think, do you want your coaches to see this? Do you want your family members, your mom? Do you want someone to see whatever you're posting? And if it relates to you and your personal brand, then it's definitely something that you can leverage and use.
Nice. Now, speaking about that, now how early should someone think about their branding? Let's say an athlete. Are they in high school or just when they get into college? How early is too early, or is there such thing as too early?
Yeah, I'm not really sure there is something as too early, It's really, so many of the elite level athletes, they start so young. And I think your personal branding really starts there too, because, you have all these athletes that are at that elite level, and you hear stories about when they were a kid. They were the kid that was always at practice extra hours or came really early all the way through high school. They're the person getting in extra training or doing training off site. So your personal brand is really built your whole career. But if you want to start building your brand when you get in high school using social media or using like networking, things like that, high school is really that time where recruiting starts to vamp up, and that's really when you want to start using tools to actually build up your personal brand.
And I think what Darren was saying earlier, it's the perfect time to hire someone like yourself, because so you don't get yourself in trouble by posting random things on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, with everyone being home right now, social media itself has grown so much. It really is something that can either help or hurt you, especially in this time.
So if you let's say if I were to start growing my brand, what is like the top? Give us the top 3 things that we can do right away that can like lead us on the right path to growing our brand. Let's say if you have a lawn care company, or if you're a florist, or you do nails or something.
Yeah, so on a professional level, it kind of follows the same as a student athlete. Really what you want to start with is putting your message out there. So whether you, like you said, are building a nail salon or lawn care, or, maybe you're going for a corporate job, you really want to figure out what your message is and start to get it out on all your social media or through your networking channels. And you want to make sure that you stay authentic, who you really are, what you really believe in, because if you are authentic through your channels, that really shows, and it really gives a lot of authenticity for your viewers. And lastly, whatever social media you use as well, just getting that message out there is really important.
That's true. Definitely. Now, your involvement with TikTok. You are now a TikTok partner. How is TikTok important?
Yeah, so TikTok is one of those, obviously, there's a lot of things going on with it right now. And there has been for a little bit a growth in TikTok, especially because of the quarantine. TikTok was a platform that people were using very similar to Vine before, but now it's gotten to the point where, you can grow so quickly on social media, but TikTok specifically uses an algorithm that really puts these videos in front of so many people that it's a really great way to get your content out there, whether you want to talk a little bit about who you are and build up your personal brand, or you want to have a little fun and show people like a goofy side, or even like myself as a TikTok partner, kind of talking about what I do as a business, or even giving short clips of tips and things like that.
We're talking about TikTok and how it is important. I know all the teens these days are using it, but it's good that you can use it as a professional in your professional life. We record our podcasts in Windsor, Canada. We're right across the river to a major metropolitan city, Detroit. Something like that, where if we can get our message over to a big metropolitan city like Detroit, where there's tons more people, tons more viewers over there, like what is the best way to like break into those bigger markets? Or is it just consistently putting up videos, or always branding our message or our product constantly? And it's just like the more you do it, the more people will see it.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a few different things. Mainly, the idea is that content is king. for a lot of people, whether it's a regular person who's on TikTok and wants to start following someone that they see, or the person who's actually putting out content, there's, a certain level of content that needs to be on there for people to go ahead and follow you. And also, the more content you put out there, the more opportunity you have for people to see it and for them to really understand like what your message is and who you are, what your company does. So the best way to start, at least, is to just start putting out content, whether it's short clips of what you guys talk about in your podcast, or a quick video on what your podcast is, or even if it's like something goofy that follows one of the trends that they use but uses you guys. It's a really great way to start branding yourself but also creating that content. And secondly, ads are great. I utilize a lot of ads in my different companies as well, and it's a great way to get eyes on your product because, as you know, only a certain amount of people who see ads actually go for it and buy.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true. Now that we're still in the pandemic in most of the areas we're in, now, how do you go about doing things online? I know you offer online courses.
Yeah,
Please tell me about that.
Yeah, so I have a online course. It's called the Legacy Brand. Really what it is helping people build, control, and leverage their personal brand. It's really in the areas of career, whether you're trying to secure an internship, a job, a promotion, or even brand deals. It's a lot about an online course of how to help people get to that point where they not only have built up their personal brand, but they know how to use it. And then I actually have something coming out really soon as well that I'm excited about. One part of my course was really fitness heavy, and now I'm going to be moving that to work with a partnership with a social media company. And we're actually going to be putting out a really personal fitness focused course where it's start to finish about how you would get ready mentally and physically to get into your workout, all the way through to the rest, recovery, and refueling. So it's going to be really full circle, but all of them are actually offered online.
That's awesome. Now, what are your socials? Because everyone should keep track of everything coming out. Your information that will be coming out. Now, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Rachel Maeng, RachelMaeng. On TikTok, unfortunately, that was taken, so it's Rachel Maeng with an underscore. And then if you want to look up the course, it's currently at the-legacy-brand.com.
Perfect. So there you go. You guys can check out the website, get more information, and we'll post it on our social media. So Rachel, thank you for coming on the A2G podcast and talking to Darren and I.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, Darren, you sent me a interesting trailer for us to review today.
Yes.
Which I'm down with that because it's a musical trailer. It's all about me.
Yes.
I'm down with biographies and things like that. So tell us what we're going to be reviewing today.
So it's been announced, I believe, since late last year that Jennifer Hudson is going to take on the role of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, in the upcoming biopic, Respect, the Aretha Franklin story. So they just recently put out the teaser trailer. It's about a minute and a half long, but it shows, her how she channeled her inner Aretha, and the makeup, I believe, was spot on. The trailer doesn't really give you that much of what kind of story that they're going to be talking, like what kind of story that they're going to be going with for this film. It looks really good. I think the music is going to be phenomenal when it comes out. And obviously the bar is set so high for this movie music wise. Hopefully the story can live up to the height of the music, but we'll see. It looks really good from what I see. I can't wait for the official trailer to come out, where you get a little bit more of the essence of the story and a little bit more detail on exactly who plays who. You know what? From everything that I saw in this quick 90-second trailer, I think it's going to be one of the best films of the year. I know in COVID, everything got pushed back to next year, so there's really no competition when it comes to that. But Jake, I really like this trailer. I'd give it a solid 4 out of 5.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's what they're going for here with the soundtrack from Motown, because that's what it's going to have.
Yeah.
It's going to be, the soundtrack's going to be crazy, and I'm all about the music, obviously. And I was telling you before the show that they played like the respect song throughout the entire trailer. Now, if they're going to do it throughout the entire movie as a lead up to something, I'm going to hate that song by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's in small doses, but the music in general should be great. Obviously, there's a story. This is all, gonna be an intense movie of, about how she came up and what she had to deal with, and how her music came out, and how it affected everybody. So it'll be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'll give it a solid 4 out of 5 also. And yeah, when it comes out, definitely want to see it.
Absolutely. So there you go. There's our movie review.
Respect.
It's a little RESPCT.
There you go.
So Jake, a little sad news to pass on from the music world. Legendary fiddle player / country singer Charlie Daniels passed away.
Yes, that's right.
He was 89. He was known for his massive hit, "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still, like, if you are a country fan or not a country fan, you got to respect that song. It's such a great song.
Right, exactly.
Did,
broke a whole bunch of barriers with that song. Everywhere.
Exactly. So, our condolences to his family. A true legend, and I was lucky enough to see him in person when he came to the casino and played here. So that's always it's always good to see like true legends like that.
One of the many Darren has mingled with in his career.
I'm just mingling with
the man. It's okay. That's
A, B, and C list celebrities and musicians that are either not well known or well past their prime.
Well, you're there and you know them.
I don't know them. I was just there.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. So let's wrap this up with a new segment we introduced this season with an unpopular opinion. Darren.
Ooh, unpopular.
I know. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this one. Maybe not. I don't know. The last few were pretty bad. This one maybe not so much. But here's my unpopular opinion for these days that we're having. I hate hot weather.
You don't
I hate
say.
it.
You don't say.
And it's unpopular because a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, it's so nice! I can't wait till it gets warm outside. I can go out in my, just hang out by the pool, have a drink, go to the beach." You know what? I hate it. Hate the humidity. Hate the heat. I hate sweating when I am not actually playing sports. I hate sweating from just stepping outside.
You know what? And it's true. Like the past couple days when the humidity has been really high, it's like you walk outside and you get punched in the face with this wall of heat. It's like stepping into an oven.
That's true. And it's peaked right now where I have to bring this up because I always hate summer. Summer is great because I get to, have vacation, relax, do whatever. That's all cool. I hate the hot weather. I hate it. You go outside, you sweat. It doesn't matter if you actually do something or you don't do something. Your car is super hot on the inside. You can't even get in it.
Yeah.
You start, you can't take your pets out because it's too hot for them. I'm cool. If we could just keep the temperature on this planet between, 55 and 70, I'm down. Let's do that. Put the thermostat on that.
There we go.
Anything above 85, I'm going to stay indoors and screw this shit. I'm not dealing with it. It's nonsense. It's unpopular because all of you like hot weather. I hate it. So, whatever. I'm going to stay inside of my air-conditioned basement in the studio and do what I got to do. And not
there you go.
Fuck that.
Well, there you go. So, unpopular. I guess it wouldn't be that much of an unpopular opinion that you don't like the hot weather. I bet you many people would agree with you.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of people with their Jeeps doors off and roofs off, and they're flailing in the wind while they're driving. So I don't like those people either.
Jake's just mad at everyone. Look at you driving around with driving your Jeep around with no doors and no roof.
Yeah. There's 95-degree humidity hitting you in the face with the exhaust from other cars. The fun.
Gotta love that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There you go.
That's
Well,
that.
Well, Jake, but before we turn this puppy out, while you're inside, do yourself a favor and sit down and watch Hamilton. Download it or watch it on Disney Plus, because I watch it and I'm not a big musical guy, but I hear so much good things about this. So I sat down and I watched it, and I was entertained to the max. It was fantastic. It was so well done. And, for something that was filmed back in 2016, it looked fantastic. The way that the stage was all set up and the actors and just the music and the story was just all around perfection. I could see why it won everything when it came to the Tonys or all the major musical awards, because I heard that sometimes most musicals, the soundtrack's good, but the story is crap. But this one, the story is great, and the music is fantastic. So it's win-win on both sides. So if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. If you have Disney Plus or you know someone with Disney Plus, get their account information and watch Hamilton.
Legally. Now,
yeah.
You had me at, I should watch it, until you told me how long this fucking thing is.
I understand, but there is
2 hours and 40 minutes.
There is an intermission. You can pause it and go do what you gotta do, and then come back and watch it.
2 hours and 40 fucking minutes of people singing on stage.
I
have to think about that.
But Jake, you will like it, and especially you being a fan of the rapping and the rhyme. I'm telling you, there is some really, well thought out lyrics when it comes to this musical.
Well, that coming from you, then definitely I will.
I was gonna say, if you know me, if you know Darren, you know me. I love my rap and my lyrics. They spit hot fire and all that. stuff.
You're dropping that on the weekends.
Just dropping those bars all the time. Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you go. There's some
That's
sound of watching a device. You got some from us. Find us everywhere online at 80G Podcast on all social media, all streaming platforms, everywhere you get a podcast, everywhere you have social media, except TikTok. We're not there yet. But everywhere at 80G Podcast. Find us. Tell us how everything's going. Go on our Facebook page, like, share, copy, paste, whatever you want to do. Do it. Let us know what's up. I hope you guys enjoyed our season three finale. Hope it was good. It was episode, I think, 14. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And when we come back, it will hopefully be football season.
Yes.
We can make fun of our team and love them at the same time.
I'll be the one loving them. Jake's going to be the one hating them.
I'm ready to go. It's about that time. And saving up this energy of Quinn Trisha hate. But it's okay. I'll make sure it's worth it by the time we come back.
There you go. Fantastic.
There you go.
Well, so that's it. We hope you enjoyed season 3 of the ADG podcast. Like Jake said, check us out. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Maybe we'll do TikTok next year. I don't know. Whatever is popular, we'll give it a shot.
You do the stupid dances. I'm not doing that.
Oh yeah, I don't do it. Well, if you hear my rap skills, I'm sure I could easily learn TikTok, no problem.
Oh, combine that. There you go.
There you go. All right then. Well, for the ADG podcast for the final time on season 3, I'm Darren.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are ADG.